Today I'll be talking with a friend of mine, Matt Suttinger, about an upcoming RPG game, Dark Empire. Matt is the design lead over at PTF Games, so he'll be giving us some insight on what they're trying to accomplish with their game. Dark Empire is currently running a Kickstarter campaign that ends October 7th, so if this game looks like something you may be interested in or you just want to show your support, follow the link below to their page. And they're also running a contest on their Facebook until the end of this month for a 3D printed trinket that one of their designs made for the campaign.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm the lead design for Dark Empire. That essentially means that I'm responsible for most of the content of the game. So, battle system, enemies, gear, leveling, statistics, balancing, etc., etc., etc. A lot of math involved.
What exactly is Dark Empire?
It's an RPG for people that like role-playing. And by that I mean it's character-driven. You'll know, like, for an MMO, it's largely statistics driven. You go around, you don't really care about the story unless you're really into lore. It doesn't really affect things. And in a lot of the theme park type environments they have, where you go through the story, you go through the paces, you don't necessarily even need to pay attention. You just keep going from point A to point B. You're done. A character driven story or a role playing driven story, which is what we're trying to do, is something that reacts to your decision making and your interactions with other characters. So this is a game where you can make decisions and talk to people, and the way that you interact with those people and the decisions that you do make will affect where you can go in the story.
What are the influences for this game? Like, what kind of inspired you guys to make this?
I have been playing games for the bulk of my life. So I started out on Sega Genesis. So my favorite and probably my first RPG is Phantasy Star 4. I love the way they did the story. I love the setting of the kind of pseudo-anachronistic, sword and sorcery thing going on, along with the sci-fi things that gets uncovered over the course of the game. I also love the way they did the battle system. You'll see a little bit of influences there on the game. I'm also a huge D&D 3.5 player. I've been there for about a decade. And that's where I get my belief of the importance of the role-playing experience. Where anytime I'm playing a 3.5 campaign, it's always custom. It's always something my friends have written, and it's always something where I'm playing a character where I've put time ahead to set out motivations and what I want to do with the character, and where I want to go, and then I just react to the circumstances in the game, and it develops the character in ways that I wasn't predicting when I started. And that's also something I want to do with this game, is to make it so that you're making choices that maybe you weren't even thinking about doing at the beginning of the game, but as you react to circumstances, your outlook changes. As far as the mechanics go, I'm big into Grandia 2. Obviously, there's Final Fantasy influences in just the style of the game. It's a retro game. The graphics are reminiscent of an SNES type game. And you'll see a little bit of flavors from Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4, in some of the magic mechanics that have been implemented.
Okay, and like, how exactly are you guys doing the story? Like, what's your story system for the game?
Without going into the really rough details of how the mathematics work, you start out at the same point in the game. I mean, you have to, and from there you talk to characters and you experience random encounters. Random encounters are different than what you might think. Most people hear random encounters in an RPG, they think random battle. You just walk into an enemy in the woods and there's a wolf that's carrying like 50 gold in his gullet or something like that. Something silly. What we do is you can randomly meet people along the course of the storyline, and you interact with them. And depending on what you say and what you do and what they see you do and what they think of you, they might unlock different pathways in the story for you to go on. So the story is really just branching out from a starting point. And depending on the party, the characters in the party that you favor or disfavor, and the people that you interact with, who you make friends with, you make enemies out of, that'll affect where you go in the story.
And how are you guys actually going to be handling your combat system? What are you guys going to be doing with that?
That is a huge question. The combat system is, of course, the focus of pretty much any computer RPG that you're going to play. We've got a lot of systems in place. Every play style is an attempt to be somewhat unique in that if you're playing a fighter, that's a different experience from playing an archer. I mean, normally in an RPG, you pick up a weapon and you spam attack, and that's just the thing you do. Especially if you go back as far as, say, like Final Fantasy 1, where they ration magic enough, where that your only real choice against the majority of enemies is to just spam attack. Melee combat for us is something that we treat with a little bit more finesse. We want to be able to let the player decide how to swing the sword and implement some sort of strategy there. So we have a stance mechanic for just the sword swings where you can affect the different damage types. So you can do things like a neutral stance is essentially like a standard sword swing, which you'd expect. You can add more power at the sake of accuracy. You could change up the damage types by changing how you're swinging the sword, like a thrust versus a sweep versus a just bludgeoning, like say with the edge of the blade or something like that. You could also try to go for a more targeted hit that's like a higher critical rate at the cost of reduced damage. Similarly, you can do for a faster attack, where your attack executes more quickly at the cost of lower damage. And for just the melee weapons alone, there's a list of over 50 that we have done and statted out. So there's going to be a lot of variety in what you can do and the kinds of strategies you can use. And that's just melee combat. Range combat has a similar thing going for it, where we do have a large list of colonial period weapons. So we're reaching back as far as longbows and crossbows, and then we're implementing also pistols, cannons, and muskets and rifles. So you have different kinds of range weaponry, different kinds of firearms, different kinds of ammunition, and they can pull off some trick shots if you train the skills up enough to do that. As far as magic is concerned, that's probably I've been spending a lot of time lately breaking down the magic system and exactly what's going to be going on. We have two major schools, which is the Divine School and the Arcane School. Divine School is essentially like a religious kind of magic. You pray to patron saints of different aspects of the religion of the world, and you get spells from that. So if you pray to the patron saint of war, you're more likely to get a spell like a smite spell or something like that, compared to the patron saint of nature or purity, who will give you a healing spell or purifying spell. Arcane magic is an internal form of magic. So we've got 6 elements: air, electric, water, ice, earth, and fire. And what you can do with those is not only just cast those spells, but also combine the spells, create new elements. Like you can mix electric and ice and create a magnetic spell. And when you mix spells, you start getting different effects. You can, like with a magnetic spell specifically, you can do some row switching on your enemies. Like if you want to pull an enemy from the back row and front row, you can just yank them out with an electric or magnetic bolt. We also have some more tweaks on the arcane magic, like the supernatural magic, which is essentially imbuing either arcane or divine magic into a piece of equipment. So it's like a temporary enchantment, like giving your sword a fire aspect or a shadow aspect or something like that. You also got summons, which are essentially like summoning elementals. So you can have like a fire sprite, or if you're really good at summoning, like a fire beast, like a giant fire wolf or something like that. And then we have the auxiliary skills, things that kind of add flavor, the kinds of things you expect, like the thief kind of skills, being able to steal, throwing coins. We also have leadership skills, things that can affect combat by affecting the group dynamic and timing and strategy in that mechanic. You can also use deception against your enemies to kind of mislead them into different threats. That's kind of an influence of MMOs in that respect, where you think of traditional tanker trying to pull enemies like that, you can use Dissension to influence the threat level of your characters and have enemies target them like that. I'm not sure what else you want me to go to, because really I can go on all day on different specific features that we have planned for this and what we have statted out, which is already a lot. I'm not even done. We've got pages and pages, I think close to maybe 100 different pages and pieces of documents of what's going in, what the weapons are, what they do, what skills do, etc., etc. It's just huge.
Yeah. Well, explain how. I noticed that you guys are using a gear system for how the attacks are actually performed.
Yeah.
So explain that a bit.
What it is each attack is going to take a certain amount of time based off of your skills and what your attributes are, what you're good at, your aptitude. So let's say your sword swing takes like 2 seconds or something like that. How that appears is that you take an action, and it appears on the gear wheel. And the gear wheel is time gear, is what we call it, is the way of looking at the turn order coming up. So you're basically looking a short distance in the future to see what's coming up, and you can try to react to it. So if you see an enemy is about to come up on the next turn, you can try to do something that will interrupt the enemy or cancel his effect if you think you can anticipate what he's going to do by making a quick action against that enemy. Or in the case where maybe you've got a party member's not doing too well, enemy's about to come up, you probably want a really, really quick healing spell to trigger right before that enemy does. So what's going to happen is when your turn comes up, you've got the gear wheel showing the turn order, and you can choose an attack, and the attack will appear on the gear wheel as like a little highlighted area between two spokes or two teeth, whatever you want to call them, where you'll see where the action will take place, and you strategize around that. So timing is a core mechanic in the battle system.
You guys have a couple of weeks left on your Kickstarter. What are you guys hoping to accomplish, and what do you have to say to your contributors?
At this point, we really want to hit our goal. We need 5,000. It's pretty much all that's going to art assets. We really need to get a few more sprites, some tiling. We need a lot of enemy characters. We need some more drawn scenes for some important points in the game. Like that, if you go to the Kickstarter page, you can see the picture of Maxim and Vlad on the rooftop with smoke in the background. That's a really nice picture we want to use in the game. We want to get a few more scenes like that. And all that costs money. Artists obviously don't work for free, and that's basically where the bulk of the money goes. We do want to hit that 5K mark. We think the plush tiers that we have are really nice. We've even got that little 3D printed trinket. I have no idea how we managed to get that together, but it's really cool. It's a little spinning gear thing. So I'm encouraging everyone to just give what they can, even if it's $5. $5 right now gets you the game. And it's going to be a big game. This is a full length RPG.
Yeah. Any kind of plans for Steam Greenlit? Is that down the line?
Oh yeah, totally. Our major markets that we're looking at for release, we want, of course, a on-site digital download, probably off of like Amazon servers or something like that. Doesn't matter where, just so long as it comes off our website. Steam is definitely going to be our biggest target for getting our game on there. We have full confidence that once we're far enough in development that we get onto Steam Greenlight, that we'll get on, because we're making a quality game. I believe in it, and I think that as soon as people will get a playable demo, we'll be able to get on Greenlight, no problem. I'm also looking at GOG. I'm a big fan of the website. I buy stuff from there all the time. I love the older games, the DOS games, and I'm hoping that we can get on there. Desura was also an option. They do a lot of indie stuff and in-progress stuff. So we're hoping after the Kickstarter, we start signing up for that kind of things early on, and get our games on the market before they're ready, and maybe not do pre-orders, but just get it so that we have a spot in the market ready for when we are going to release.
All right. Hey, thanks, Matt, for doing a quick interview here on the game. Like I said before, they have their Kickstarter link below, so take a look at it. I mean, it's definitely something that is worth popping in. And that's I think $10 for the game, and then $15 you get the game, and what was the other thing you get with the game as well for 15?
15. Let me see. I think you get the art. I have to go back and check, but I remember right now $5.
It's a music track, isn't it?
It might be the music track. It's either the music track or the art book. I know for 25 you get all that stuff. You get the design notes, so you get my personal notes for how I'm doing the math, a lot of my decision-making processes, and a lot of commentary on what I think works, what doesn't work, the mathematics behind it. A lot of game statistics stuff, which I think would be interesting for someone who's into game design. That's just me being egotistical. We also have the full soundtrack. Our music guy Marvin is really talented. You can go on our website at ptfgames.com. You can go on Kickstarter, which I believe is linked somewhere on this screen or below it, where you can actually preview a lot of his tracks. It's I really enjoy it. The art book, a lot of the art is done by Zolf. He's our main art guy, and he does the character stills, the concept art.
Right.
So you get all of that. Of course, you get higher end tiers, you get more interesting stuff. You get a poster, we got that trinket, which I thought was really cool. Also, you can get a cameo in game. You can get a design input in that you can design a dungeon even if you go all the way up the tier.
You can contribute to Dark Empire's Kickstarter by following the links below. Their Facebook and website are also listed, so you can follow the development. And as always, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video or have a suggestion, leave a comment below and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the latest tech news and reviews, visit that'sitguys.com.